Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe it and press the bell notification so that you get all the notifications whenever I upload a new video. Today's video I'm gonna talk about roots in Node.js and roots in React. I have seen a lot of people get confused between these two routes because in a single page app you have two applications that gets developed. One is purely on the back end and one is purely on the front end. So fundamentally, we need to understand what these routes are, how these routes are different, and then how we could utilize to connect these two routes in order to make sure that the application can talk to each other, send the data back and forth. So that's the whole purpose of this video today. So stay tuned and we'll discuss everything in detail, how a single page application actually works with the help of routes in the real world. A single page app is a very different kind of an app as compared to a multiple page app. If you guys have some experience with the ASP.NET or ASP.NET Core or PHPs or anything, those are multiple page apps where we are not using anything, for example, front-end framework like React, or let's say we use any kind of Angular to actually build a single page app. Now, in a multiple page app, every single view is developed as a single page. You do some kind of a logic on the server side scripting and then display it on the client side by using some kind of a rendering output engines. But if we talk about single page apps are more likely developed using technologies like Node.js, even the technologies like Angular, Vue.js, or others. But fundamentally, we are creating two applications in a single page app. We could use anything in the backend, for example, Rails or Node.js or anything. But for this explanation, we are just assuming that we have a Node.js app, which is a backend app. Now, when we develop a single page app, the first application that would be developed is a backend app, which is we are taking an example of a Node.js app. When we run this Node.js app, this would run it on a certain port. Let's say we are running it on a 3000, and typically this would contain all your routes, all your APIs, that what we are going to define over here. Now, these APIs and routes, they would actually connect to a database, or they can further connect to another API, like for example, Stripe, Twilio, or anything for fetching data, for sending data, or doing certain kind of a task. Now, fundamentally, let's say we have a login API. Now, typically, if we'll use the Express server or anything, we'll create routes like app.post/login. Now, this route is definitely a route that's created in Node.js. It has nothing to do with the React router, right? That's a separate application we'll discuss once we have discussed this one. And what it typically would do is the app.post/login would receive some kind of a email password or a username password, and then it would actually connect to the database to verify those credentials and make sure the credentials are okay. Now, based upon whatever the result we get from that logic, we either return to the calling entity whether it was true or false, or credentials were not right or anything, based upon our logic. So that's what typically this route would do. And the backend app does not contain only one route. It could contain multiple routes segregated in different files, or whatever the way you want to write it. But for the demonstration or for the explanation, I'm just giving this one particular example. Now, because it's a single page app, so the second page app that you will develop is a front end app. So it's a front end app, let's say written in React. That's why we'll call it as a single page app. Now, what happens is React would typically have a React router, and that app would run in a separate port, might be 8000, might be different. So what we define is we actually define all our routes, and because it is running on port number 8000, for example, so all the routes which we define in React router, they would be actually pointing to one of the components that we have developed in React. So now let's say if I define our let's say http localhost 8000/login, that's the route I have defined in React router. So if you'll type it in the browser and when you'll run your React app, this would actually render the login component. And the same way, if I do /items, it would actually render the items component. And if you would see, there is one of the important things, that's index.html in a React app. Because it's a single page app, you have only one page, index.html, and all the components, whatever we want to go through the React router, they would actually render it on index.html. So technically, it's like an abstract for us, which React framework does. It actually displays multiple components within the same page based upon which route we want to go. So if I want to go to /login, now this particular login, because it is on 8000/login, has nothing to do with this login, because this is a separate route in a Node.js app. It has nothing to do with this one, and this route is in the React app. It is purely different, right? So once we have developed this, so let's say we want to go in for the login. So what happens is the component login, when we say http localhost 8000/login, we'll get the component login displayed on the browser. It might have a username password screen or an email password screen. And fundamentally what we do is we actually click on that login button once we enter those credentials, and an Axios post would be made. This Axios post is actually made to the backend route. Now if you see axios.post, I'm calling our Node.js route 3000/login, and I'm sending some data with that also. Now this way the React is actually making a call back to the backend API to actually get that data, to actually send that data, make sure the backend does something, it validates those credentials, and then get the response back from the Node.js API route. Now this way we are able to connect these two routes. Those are two fundamentally different routes. React is talking to a Node.js. React router helps you to manage your routes within React app. Backend is totally different. You could have a /login route in Node.js, and you could have a /login route even in React app. Those are doing two different things, but we need to kind of use either fetch or Axios or anything to actually make those requests so that they can talk to each other and send the data to and fro. So I hope, guys, this way you really understand how the routes are being set up in Node.js and the routes are set up in front-end app. And now I would say it would be less of a confusion for you. You understand these terminologies differently because those are two fundamentally different apps. I'll be coming up with more videos, so stay tuned and have a good one.